I'll forget later. Okay. So you can go watch these talks that we've had over the past, and then we've had a bunch of cool talks. We've again been going around on standards and services, and then we heard about vector tiles. Last time we heard about Google Earth Engine. And as we've been talking about these different services and different kinds of ways of incorporating them into scientific or end user products, there's a number of cool technologies that can take advantage of services, some open source and some, and we're going to hear about one today from Esri, which is pretty cool, the WebAppBuilder for ArcGIS. And Derek Law from Esri is here to present. So I'm just going to turn it over to you. Thanks, Derek, and I'm going to turn it over to you to present. So let me see here. Hopefully you are listed as under your own name. Yes, you are. Okay, good. And I'm going to make you the presenter. So you should be able to share your screen now.
Hopefully this works.
Yep.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yep, looks good.
Okay. So thanks, Rich, for the introduction. As you mentioned, my name is Derek Law, and I work at Esri, obviously. I've been with the company for 16 years now. I work on the product management team, so my job is to kind of talk to customers, get feedback from customers on what's good and what's bad, and help make our product better. So I started off working on the back-end stuff. For many years ago, I worked on enterprise geodatabases, and then when the term ArcSD technology went away, I joined the server team and worked on ArcGIS server and portal for ArcGIS the last 6-7 years. And today I'm on the apps team, so I'm going to talk about WebAppBuilder for ArcGIS. If you've ever seen a session presented by me at user conference, I run a pretty laid-back session. I think Rich said it was okay. If you guys have questions, just interrupt or put your hand up or something, and if I see you, I will do my best to answer them. And yeah, we'll get started. So just out of curiosity, hopefully you guys are using the ArcGIS platform. Maybe yes, no, and have any of you used WebAppBuilder for ArcGIS?
Actually, I've got people muted, so it's going to be tough to.
I apologize.
But yeah,
Sorry,
yeah, I mean, USGS has a site-wide license. A lot of other people, have obviously have it too. But
okay. Tell you what then, if you have a question, put it in the chat, because I forgot Richard told me that he would turn off the audio. So I'm going to get started, and if I'm going too fast or too slow, let me know. I'll have some demos as well. This is your time, so thank you for letting me tell you about WebAppBuilder for ArcGIS. What are we going to cover over the next 45 minutes or so? This is the point of this presentation is to give you a high-level overview of what WebAppBuilder for ArcGIS is, and with some demos and slides, hopefully by the end of the time, you'll have a good idea of what it is, what it's used for, and why you should care, and how hopefully it will benefit your daily lives and your business workflows. So I'll give you a tour of the product itself. I'll talk a bit about customization and where you can go after this presentation. So some resources and some links to get more info. And again, if you have any questions, just type it in the chat window, and we'll get started. So if you've seen any Esri presentation before, I'm sure you've seen this kind of WebGIS, ArcGIS platform slide. This has been our kind of approach for the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now, I guess. WebGIS is not something you buy. It's this conceptual idea that we have maps everywhere, on the web, on your mobile devices, and the whole idea of what GIS analysts and what GIS departments within an organization do is changing. Instead of one focused mapping or group of people who do GIS making maps for the larger organization, they still do that, but they actually take all their GIS assets and resources and set it up in a portal. Note the lowercase p. So set it up in some central location so that the larger organization can also find these GIS assets and resources and make their own map products. That's the whole idea of WebGIS. So on this concept diagram, at the very top we have like client applications. They could be your desktop applications like ArcMap, ArcGIS Pro. They could be web applications. They could be your devices, so smartphones and tablets. they connect and then search and discover GIS assets and resources through this concept of a portal, again the lowercase p. This kind of central location or central destination within an organization that has a gallery of all your GIS assets. Now, this concept of a portal could be in the cloud, and we call it Arcgis Online, and I'm sure you've seen some demos on that, or for government agencies with those three-letter agencies that you see in spy movies, and they have security is a big deal, and they don't want to use the cloud, they can buy what we now call ArcGIS Enterprise and install a product called Portal for ArcGIS with the capital P, and they set up basically the ArcGIS Online user experience within their own infrastructure. And then finally, a portal is only useful if it's powered by GIS servers and it has data content. So I put this slide here because when we talk about WebAppBuilder, it's a client application on the web, so it's at the very top of the stack, and it connects to your portal to retrieve and work with your GIS assets and resources. So hopefully everyone's okay with that. So Esri has made a concentrated effort the last 5 or 6 years to actually make it easier for the non-developer. So the non-developer, the regular layperson, the GIS analyst who may or may not code to basically deploy and create an output app. How can they take their work and share it to a larger audience, in this case through an application? And we have many different solutions available. We're going to focus on WebAppBuilder for ArcGIS. So it starts with this idea of a web map. Hopefully you guys are familiar with this concept. When you work with the ArcGIS Online interface, or when you work with the WebGIS pattern, you start with a web map. And I'll show you how to make it in a demo later on. This is not new data. Basically, you go into an application called the Map Viewer, and you basically add data and make your own web map. This is basically a configuration file. And so it doesn't store any data, it doesn't copy any data, but it tells an application where to go to get the data, get the web services. And one option is to take a web map and you can build a new application around it using one of our 30+ configuration application templates, and that's represented by the screenshot on the right-hand side. So you could take your data and put it in one of these focused application templates. Now these are designed to support specific workflows such as data editing, showing data changes over time, and we also have a basic viewer. And these are useful, they're pretty quick. You take your data, you hydrate one of these templates, and you can easily push it out. But over the last few years, a lot of our customers have said, hey, can I take function X from the basic viewer and use it with function Y in the edit template? So the answer is yes, we have WebAppBuilder. This is basically an application that allows you, if you're a GIS manager, GIS analyst, or non-developer, to quickly and easily build a brand new web application without writing a single line of code. We provided this nice user-friendly environment so that you kind of pick and choose and preview how you want your web app to be. I'm going to show you a demo. So think of it like Lego blocks, really. You know, we offer 40 different widgets. A widget is basically an isolated chunk of code. Think of them like Lego blocks, and you can pick as many or as few of these widgets to assemble your web application. So what is WebAppBuilder for ArcGIS? It's an app that lives inside either ArcGIS Online or Portal for ArcGIS. So it lives inside a portal. It's been in Online since December 2014, and it's been in Portal since the 10.3 release, so a couple of years ago. The key takeaway here is that yellow text, right? It allows you to quickly and easily build a brand new web application without writing a single line of code. And we give you this what you see is what you get user experience, and you'll see it in the demo. As I make changes to different parameter settings in the left part of my display, they will be reflected in the right preview window. You can build 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional data content apps, so we support web maps and also web scenes. And you'll see that because it's built on JavaScript and HTML5 technology, and the app runs inside a web browser, you can actually open it up on your smartphones and tablets as well. And of course, if you are a developer, it's fully extensible. So you can write your own custom code for your own custom functionality if you want to. Now I mentioned WebAppBuilder is built into Arcgis Online or Portal for ArcGIS. We actually have a third option, which is Developer Edition. And don't let the name mislead you. You do not have to be a developer to use Developer Edition. But we offer this third option because what if you get some custom code or a custom widget from a third party? You may want to, like a business partner, or I know the EPA creates a whole bunch of widgets and you want to use that custom functionality. Well, you can actually take that and add it to Developer Edition and start using that custom functionality within the same builder experience. And lastly, I want to just mention that we actually have this very nice website called the WebAppBuilder Live Sites Showcase, and it has a whole bunch of real live customer examples where these are I think there's over 150,000 apps built on WebAppBuilder inside Arcgis Online today, but this website actually has about 70 or so customer sites that I've gotten permission to reference. And I'm just going to drag my browser window in the display, so hopefully you'll see it.
Yep, looks good.
Can you guys see that?
Yep.
I know I'm looking at the preview, there's a bit of a delay, but you can see here, these are real customer sites, and you can click on them to get more information if you want, or you can click on it and open it, and it'll take you to that live real customer site that's in production, and it'll load. So if you want to just kind of explore what it can do, you can kind of zoom in, and this is showing you a travel map for the state of Wyoming built by their DOT. So they have a whole bunch of layers here where you can see the different incidents.
Hey Derek, could you just chat that I guess the parent URL into the chat?
Yes, I can definitely do that. Let me just go back to that link.
Cool, thank you.
Did that go through?
Yeah, awesome. Yep.
Okay. So how do I start to make an app? The help doc has this kind of 6-step process. I would argue it's easier. It's basically 3 steps. You basically, when you build a new application, you specify the data content, the look and feel, and then the functionality. It's that easy. But the help has this kind of 6-bulleted thing where you pick the app, the style, the map, add the widgets, configure the attributes, and publish it. But I'm always I'm a meat and potatoes demo kind of guy, and I want to show you what you get, right? So let's actually take a look at the software. So hopefully you can see on your screen, this is my Arcgis Online organization. Can you guys all see that?
Looks good.
Okay, I've already logged in. So I log into my Arcgis Online organization, or you can have Portal for ArcGIS. And I'm going to go to the Map tab. So built into Arcgis Online or Portal for ArcGIS is this map viewer. This is kind of like a little GIS viewer application. It has been designed for the non-GIS expert. So he or she can go in, they can click this Add Data button and search for data layers, right? I'm just watching the delay. So they can add data layers to it. They can, once they've added the data layers, they can click in the table of contents and actually configure how the data layer will appear, decide if they want to add pop-ups, etc. It's got basic functionality. It is not ArcMap on the web because it is designed to give you simple capabilities. And then when I'm done making this map, I can hit the Save button. As I mentioned, when I save this map that I've made, I have not copied the data. All I've done behind the scenes is saved a web map. It's basically a glorified text file written in JSON that tells something that reads this file where to go to grab these data layers. These aren't shape files or feature classes. These are actually web services. So these are data layers being published on the internet through ArcGIS Server or ArcGIS Online. Now, I have a couple
or OGC services too?
We do support some OGC services, not all of them. Yep.
Okay.
So I could send someone this URL, not this one, but if I go to the, let me go to the content, I'm at my content page here. I could send someone the My Content page. So if I go to Item Details, so this URL, and they could open up that web map in Arcgis Online. Okay? But what I might want to do is actually build a web application around this web map, and I can certainly do that. So I'm going to go back to the Map tab, go back to the Map Viewer, and now what I can do is I'm going to click the Share button. So I'll hit this Share button at the top. And I can decide, do I want to share with everyone, with the general public, people within my organization, or specific groups. I'll make this available to everyone, and I hit this Create Web App button in the bottom right. It takes me to this app building wizard, and here is where I have a couple of choices. I can either decide to take my web map and use the data to populate one of the configurable application templates. As I mentioned, there's roughly 30 of them. They are designed to support specific use cases like data editing, showing data changes over time, etc. We have these kind of categories on the left. And these are great. If you want to build a quick and dirty app, you can use one of these options. Or you could use WebAppBuilder, which is this other tab. So I can give it a name, Naperville Water Network App Viewer. And to be lazy, I'll copy the same summary, and I'll hit Get Started. This will open up WebAppBuilder for ArcGIS. Again, it's a separate application that actually is embedded within Arcgis Online or Portal for ArcGIS. And you can see here the user interface is divided into two sections. On the left, we have our configuration panels. Notice we have 4 of them. So we have theme, map, widget, and attribute. And on the right is our kind of like real-time preview window of how our application will look as we make changes. So this gives you that WYSIWYG user experience, right? What you see is what you get. So right off the bat, you can see that the theme and the attribute tabs allow me to control the look and feel of the application. So for example, we have 8 different themes. Think of these as user interface layouts. How do I want the application to look? So as I click through these different buttons, you'll see now the real-time preview window on the right changes and updates that particular style. Right now I'm looking at Plateau. I could hit Tab, and again we have different themes. I could change the color and make it blue, or I could make it green, or I can actually specify a custom color. Let's go with this yellow. I don't know. You guys get the idea. If I want a MacBook-like user interface, I can choose this Launchpad theme where my buttons are on the bottom of my user interface. You guys can see that. We also have this kind of modernistic style Dart theme with this banner in the lower part of my UI.
Ooh.
Right. Thank you for saying ooh. Yes, that's pretty exciting. Now I'm gonna choose the simple foldable theme because I want to do my demo, and I'll just use a blue banner. Now I mentioned the theme and the attribute tabs are what controls your look and feel. So here you have, so the theme is like my user interface, my layout, but my attribute tab is where I can actually add some custom functionality. For example, maybe I want to have a custom logo. I'll click this icon button and browse to my icons, right? So I'll have this water tap. You can see now in the upper left-hand corner of my application, the icon is now this water tap. I could say City of Naperville for my subtitle. And I could also add a link. Maybe I'll add a link and I'll say Esri, and I'll put in the URL www.esri.com. Notice again, within my UI, I've now modified the subtitle and I have a hyperlink that I've added to go to my, I mean, I could put the City of Naperville. You guys get the idea. So that's one aspect that I can change, the look and feel of my app. I can also change the data content. So if I go to the Map tab, notice now, I'm using the Naperville Water Network web map that I was using in my Arcgis Online Map Viewer. But if I wanted to, I could hit Choose Web Map and actually pick from one of many other web maps that I own or that are shared with me in my organization, or that are shared to the public. So I could build a new application around any of these other configuration files that have different data they want to show. I'll leave it at the web app I'm looking at. Finally, and this is really the real power, I have this Widget tab. This allows me to control the functionality that I want to enable within my application. Now you can see each one of these blue boxes represents a widget, a chunk of code that does a specific piece of functionality. For example, if I hover over the home widget on the left, you can see slightly on the left part of the application, that red box with the home icon kind of highlights in red. Do you see that? Hopefully everyone sees that.
Yeah.
So this tells me that these widgets in blue are part of the user interface. If I click this eye icon, I can remove it. Or if I click it again, I can add it. Same thing with my search widget. This represents the search dialog in the upper left. If I don't want it in the application, I click the eye icon and I can remove it, or I can add it back in. So some of these widgets form the user interface. However, there are other placeholders in the bottom here where I can add widgets as part of my user layout, my UI layout. You can see as I hover over each one, the red box appears. And what I can do is I can click widget number 1, for example, and this loads the widget dialog. Here is where I have access to my entire library of Lego blocks, my entire library of my widgets. I pick and choose what functionality I want in my application. For example, I could say I want to be able to change the base map, change the underlying data layer. I click it, I hit OK. It allows me to configure the base maps that I want. In this case, I'll leave them on. I hit OK. Now that button is part of my user interface, and you can see as I hover over it, it appears red in my UI. So far, so good with everyone?
Yeah.
I'm going to do a... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying this is cool. It's looking good.
Okay, so let me add a widget that allows some cool functionality. So what I'm going to do next is click this widget, second one, and add this geoprocessing widget. What does this widget allow me to do? It allows me to reference a geoprocessing, so an analysis web service from ArcGIS server. So what I'm going to do next is change tabs, so there's no smoke and mirrors. And what you're looking at here is an installation of ArcGIS server that I have running on my machine. And if I go to Manage Services, you can see here I have this Demos folder, and I have this geoprocessing service called Valve Isolation Geoprocessing Task. So I'm going to click on it, and what I want to do is copy the REST endpoint. I'm going to copy this URL, and I'm going to paste it into this dialog right here in WebAppBuilder, and I'll hit Validate. So it's going to ask me to provide security so I can log in and access it. And I can add this analysis service. So I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to explain what does it do. So this analysis service that's running from ArcGIS server, but it's going to be used by WebAppBuilder, what it allows me to do is I can specify a location in my water network where there's a water leak, and I'm going to use that interactively in my app. So I'll just click that dot there. I'll use this red push pin, and I'm going to retitle this to say water leak location. And then what does it do? Well, once I add or specify the water leak, it's going to tell me which customers are affected by the water leak. So I'll retitle this to affected customers. And finally, I'll specify the valves. Which valves do I need to shut off in my network to stop the water leak from getting bigger, right? I hit OK. So I was able to configure that widget, that tool, and here's the tool. Finally, I'm going to add another tool, the Draw widget. So I will click Draw, hit OK. And again, I can specify the units returned for whatever I draw, but I'll leave the defaults. And I can hit Save. And quite frankly, in less than a few minutes, you saw me build a brand new application. Now, again, if I wanted to, what if I wanted to add a widget in the upper right-hand corner? You see up here in my UI here, I have these two widgets here, my legend, which works. It shows my layers, or my layer list, right? So it shows more details about my layers. If I want to add a widget up there, well, I scroll up, and we have this widget called the header controller. This widget forms that title bar at the very top of my app. So if I want to add a widget up in the upper right-hand corner, I simply click the arrow, and again I hit the plus sign, and I could add something, for example, like the print widget. Hit OK. I'll leave all the defaults because it's going to use the print service from Arcgis Online. Hit OK. Notice now it's part of my UI in the upper right-hand corner. So far so good, hopefully?
Cool.
Now what? What's cool about WebAppBuilder is I have this real-time preview, right? So I can actually activate and work with these widgets. So for example, I can click this base map widget, and then I could change the base map. So that's changed. Or I could run my geoprocessing widget. So I click on here. It's going to ask me, specify somewhere in the network where there's a water leak. I'll click the tool, click on my network, and now I'll hit execute. So what's happening now is real time, this application is calling out to my geoprocessing service in ArcGIS server, and it's doing the analysis. And now you can see on the display, here's my results. Everyone with the yellow, maybe you guys can't see it with the color, I don't know, but everyone with the yellow pushpin is an affected customer, and those circles with the X's are the valves that should shut off on my network to stop the water leak, right? I could complete the idea by using my draw widget, and I could, I could say, well, let me draw a polygon to show the area affected. I'll choose this red template. I'll make it 50% transparent, and I'll draw this kind of polygon. And I could print this out as a map to my field crew to say, go check with these customers. You guys okay with that? Yes, no?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Okay.
And presumably,
right.
you could presumably do some kind of geoprocessing if your service allowed it to pass, say, that polygon to something to, you can do anything here, right?
In theory, you could do anything. It just depends on how complex you create that geoprocessing service. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And just to be, just to make sure everyone has an idea, we have widgets for like doing queries, doing selection sets of features, doing measurement tools. The near me widget is pretty cool. I can like click a location and find things that are near me and what's close by. We have a whole, these are the core ones. In fact, let me just show this analysis one. So we have out of the box these analysis tools. You can do buffers, calculate density, aggregate points, calculate drive times, etc. The only caveat with this tool is that when you run this tool, it does consume credits because it's calling out to an analysis service inside Arcgis Online. So you can make your own, which is what I showed you, but we have some that are already available in the core app. Okay, I'm going to go back to the slides now. So you saw how easy it was to make a brand new app. And as I mentioned, we support over 40 plus widgets. This is a screen capture of most of them that are hidden. They're not part of the UI. Related tables, doing filtering, batch attribute editors, generating directions. You guys get the idea. So again, we have some core widgets for some of the key base functionality that you would need in any kind of GIS app. Geocoding, doing feature selections. And again, you control and you decide how simple or how complex you want the app to be. I mentioned that WebAppBuilder also supports 3D data. So recently in the last year, we support building an app around what's called a web scene. This is basically 3D enabled data. And we have a small but growing collection of widgets to support 3D analysis. And if I actually have a blog where we built a demo that you can check out live. In fact, maybe I can go to it now since, let me just open this up here. Make sure you guys can see, and I'll type in ArcGIS blog. So this is, I'm kind of winging it now, so don't get mad if something doesn't work. Don't get angry. But if I go to if I look for the WebAppBuilder blog, and then I'm going to look under the blogs that I've posted. Now there should be a blog that says we support 3D. So here's the blog about the WebAppBuilder supporting 3D, but here's the actual app. This is an application hosted in Arcgis Online that's showing you 3D data. So through the same user experience that you saw previously, I built this 3D application. So I'm going to hit agree, and you can see now we're looking at 3D data. So you can see, I mean, just like before, I used a plain old tab style. Here's our buildings. I think you guys, hopefully this is coming through the stream, the GoToMeeting.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Okay. And one of the first tools that we have is we have this slider tool, so you can kind of, view different aspects of the 3D building visualization. So here's like plan proposal number 1, and I can see the 4 buildings are loading now. But I could look at plan proposal number 2, which is different. You guys, again, but as you saw previously, I would build this 3D enabled web app in the same manner as before. Okay, we'll go back to the slides. The other cool thing is this. As I mentioned, it's built on the Arcgis API for JavaScript and HTML5 technology. So as you're building your app, you can actually preview how it will look within a browser on a tablet or a smartphone in the same user experience. So if I go back to the software, you can see I'm inside WebAppBuilder. I have this previews button in the lower left. Hopefully you guys can see it. When I click on it, it shows you what you would see if my web app was running on, let's say, for example, an iPhone 7. And you can see, okay, so it's rendering now. And I can zoom in. It's pretty interactive, right? I can click on my features and get a pop-up, but right now it's kind of shrunk, right? I can also open up my widgets. So how would this widget look in the phone? Well, I click this button here and you can see. This is where people go, ooh, right? You don't have to tell your managers how long it took you to build this for the web, but you guys get the idea. Or how does it look on a Google Nexus 7? So it's pretty responsive.
Yeah, that's very cool.
And again, just to prove to you, if I don't like this, let's say, for example, for some reason my manager, he or she does not like blue bars at the top of their app. Okay, no problem. Let me go back to my theme. Let me choose this Launchpad. Let me make it red. No, I didn't pick the right one. I apologize. Let me make it red, not pink. Okay. Save it. And now I go to previews, and you can see it doesn't look very nice on the Nexus 7. How about the Samsung? So I guess this layout didn't. Okay, so it works for my Google Nexus 10. You guys get the idea? So you have to play with it and see how it looks. But again, minimal level of effort for, I think a lot of advantages, quite frankly. Okay. So something to be aware of is if you use WebAppBuilder as part of your organization, you can leverage the base maps that are in the organization, the print service, and also the locator, so the geocoding functionality within that organization, which is pretty useful. So you don't have to do any setup. It just natively inherits that information from the organization it belongs to. Now, by default, you saw me build an application inside Arcgis Online, and by default, it lives inside Arcgis Online. But if you want, you can actually take that application and download it and host it on your own production web server if you want to. So it doesn't have to live there permanently. We give you more control to do this because if you download the app, you have access to all the source files for that web app, and if you were a developer, you could actually do some customization, so you can enable some custom functionality if you want to. Let's talk a bit about that. Or do you want to break and take questions, Richard? Your call.
Yeah, why don't we break and take questions? I am going to unmute everybody. Okay, whoops, no, I muted everybody. Okay, so everybody should be unmuted unless you've muted yourself. Any questions?
Hi, Rich. This is Cassandra. I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm pretty new to the Arcgis Online thing, and so been tinkering around a bit. And I think one of the hardest parts is trying to, when you're getting started, is trying to figure out which of the map products to choose, like whether you choose a story map or a web app or just the basic map. So, you know, I guess I don't know if there's any particular advice on that, but I guess in thinking about which types of maps you choose for different use cases. Like you can publish just a basic map too, right?
The answer is yes, and I have something that I'm looking up for you right now. I'm doing it off screen, so but I'm going to find you something. We actually, Esri, well, it's a good thing, bad thing. I'm being honest because it's a pretty good doc, which I'm going to put on the chat window right now. I put the link on there. I think you guys should have it. And I'm going to show you what it is. So I sent a link to this page, and what it does is if you open up this view application, it opens up this story map, and it's got some marketing stuff at the top. Who cares? What you really want to do is look at the bottom. Once it loads, it's like a decision tree diagram that kind of you ask yourself some questions to see what app would be best suited for what you want to do. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
And for some reason, I apologize, it's not loading for me. It says the chart below, and when I scroll down, it's not loading. Let me refresh this page. So it's pretty cool in that respect. Yeah, it's not loading. I apologize. You can see there's a picture of it here. There's a video. I don't know why it's not loading, and I apologize.
Well, we'll take your word for it, and you can maybe you can if you send along a link to when it's working again, I can send it out to everybody.
Yeah, I will definitely do that. The unfortunate thing is WebAppBuilder got left off the chart, so but it's got every other app.
And I'm going to mention this at the end, but in case anybody drops off early, our next presentation, next month, is going to be on story maps.
Yeah, I did notice that. Thanks, Rich.
Okay.
Any questions?
Yes, this is Rob Dawson. I have a question. It's related to, and you may not have the answer, but there may be others on the call. I believe with our enterprise license we have unlimited credits, and so if we're exposing some of those analysis tools, and sometimes a lot of our applications are exposed to the public, I'm curious, are we running any risks in terms of being able to expose those tools to the public, and so that they fall under our unlimited credits use?
This is Derek. I can't comment on that. I think that's best to ask your account manager.
We will. I just thought I'd check in case anybody else on the call has any experience on that part of it.
Yeah, I do not know.
Yep. Thanks.
This is Sophia. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So I put in the chat that I'd be interested in seeing how we can develop these geo-hackathons and leverage some of these tools. And I wondered if there's an aspect of Arcgis Online or this WebAppBuilder where people can try it out for free just to test out and learn some of these capabilities, as opposed to something that's a fully supported system. And I wondered if there are any thoughts that you have. based on your...
Anyone can try out Arcgis Online for free for 30 days. All you have to do is go to arcgis.com and then, you know, it says try it out for free, basically. There's a try it out for free option. So here it is. I click sign in. There's this try ArcGIS.
Ooh, 60 days. Ooh.
I think it does say 60, but I could swear it's going down. It's going to be reduced. I last heard it was 30. So, but yes.
That's grapevine. Okay.
And you have
that's
access to everything.
Is that where the web app builder is located?
Yes.
Also?
Yes.
And you know, if for whatever reason these hackers happen to, and I'm just saying that in general sense, the people that participate in these events have already used this trial, for example, so for whatever reason they can't have it or use it that way, is there a way in which this could be supported at some event that you just provide like a blanket user name so that people can just try it out?
We don't provide blanket usernames for people to try out Arcgis Online, but quite honestly, anyone can make a new email account. That's what it's registered to, and then you can just try it again.
Thank you.
But you didn't hear that from me. I'm not endorsing that as something.
Right. That was just really, I would have thought about that hack, yes. But yeah, that's really helpful. I think this is a really great tool for helping people, especially our non-technical scientists, to be able to just think about how we would create a map, a web app, and especially on mobile side, because that's something that we've been trying to sort out in terms of having more standards or some kind of template. So it's nice that you have some use cases and templates available for us to get started.
I have two comments to that. One is, Richard, if your organization, like USGS scientists, want to do more mobile app development, Richard, you might want to schedule an app studio for ArcGIS briefing. It's basically WebAppBuilder, but for mobile devices. So WebAppBuilder allows you to build, excuse me, WebAppBuilder allows you to build apps for web browsers that can deploy on any device. But App Studio gives you a wizard-like interface for you to build native apps. So apps that would run natively on an iPhone as an iPhone app or natively on an Android device. What's the difference? If you build a native app and you click like a telephone number, then it would activate the telephone part of your smartphone. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I'll do, Richard, as an action item is I'll connect you with the appropriate person who can give that presentation for you.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
I've got a quick question with that related to that. To worry about the 68 trial or whatever.
I think so. I think you guys have Arcgis Online already. The other gentleman said you had unlimited credits. I would imagine you already have it.
Okay.
I think Sophia was asking for
Yeah,
events, right?
Yes, we do at USGS, but in her case, she was wanting to find ways for others in a mapathon to be able to participate if they were outside of USGS.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But we do have, I guess, an enterprise account, right, where that is applied to every USGS employee. Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah.
we do. But just remember, we have USGS people on this call, but we also have people from all other organizations also. So.
And that's the reality sometimes. A mix of different collaborators and partners.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to. If there's no more questions, I'm going to move on. Is that good?
That was great.
I have one more question, but I could save it to the end also since we're getting shorter on time.
Okay. So you can also, customize WebAppBuilder, right? And there's two different levels. Level 1 is basically a configurator. You are not a developer, but you want to use someone else's custom code or custom widgets within your apps. You can definitely do that. Level 2 is if you're a developer and you want to, you write code in JavaScript to create your own custom widgets. So for the first workflow, if I want to use a piece of functionality that somebody else built, How do I enable that in my apps? Well, I can download that app from Arcgis Online, which means I'm now hosting the application on my own web server. I can add that widget to the source code, because when you download the web app, you get the source code for the application, and then you can deploy it, and we have a help topic for that. I don't have time to demo that. Just as an FYI, we have this Esri website called GeoNet. If you go to geonet.esri.com, this is like our online user community. There's lots of chat forums and stuff like that. And we have a very active user community. In fact, WebAppBuilder is in the top 3 most active communities, and there's people out there who have written custom code, so custom widgets, 35 plus, that you can download and use within your applications. There's one gentleman named Robert Scheitlin. We tried to hire this guy, and he didn't want to work for us. He's a grandfather, and he told me both his grandkids live far away, so all he does is write code like 24/7. Super nice guy, super nice guy.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, so he's on there and he answers many questions. In fact, he's the #1 most active member of our community, so yeah, it's phenomenal. Other Esri teams who are not part of the core development team have also made some custom widgets. So there's a solutions team and there's an imagery raster team, and they've also made them available on GitHub. And in fact, Richard, what I can do is send you a copy of this PowerPoint, so you'll have the URLs.
Perfect.
So the third option I mentioned was Developer Edition. This is again available from Esri. You download a copy of Developer Edition, you install it on your local machine, and it runs and has an exact same look and feel as what you saw me demo, WebAppBuilder inside Online or Portal for ArcGIS. The difference is you can also add custom widgets and themes to your user interface. So let me show you what I mean here. I've gone ahead and downloaded WebAppBuilder. You can see WebAppBuilder 2.2, and I can go to the folder and I hit startup.bat. So I start running the application, which I've already done. You can see it's running in my command window. So now when I go to my browser, and you can see once it loads, this is WebAppBuilder Developer Edition. I connect to my Arcgis Online organization, so I hit continue. So I got to sign in here. And now watch, this is Developer Edition. Now it says, okay, what do you want to make? Do I want to make a new app? Do I want to make a 2D app or a 3D app, or do I want to import an app? And I'll hit Create New. I'll take the default template of making a new 2D template. Hit OK. And now you're going to see that the user interface will look exactly like what I saw previously, right? And that's inside Arcgis Online. On the left-hand side, I have my configuration window. On the right, I have my real-time preview. And just like before, I can make changes. Okay, so it's very similar. Now, just for demonstration purposes, if I go to widgets, and let's say I want to add a new widget to my bar, so I hit this plus sign, I want you guys to see here, there is no elevation widget. Can you see that? I have edit, I have draw, edit, and then I have filter. Do you guys see that?
Yep.
Okay. So what I'm doing now, I'm going to minimize my window. And you can see in the upper right-hand corner, I'm going to drag this folder, I went ahead and downloaded a custom widget called Elevation Profile made by this guy, Robert Scheitlin, that I mentioned. If I want to take this custom code, because we didn't make it, and I want to make it available in WebAppBuilder, what do? I go into the installation directory of WebAppBuilder, which is what you see in my Windows Explorer, go into Client, Sitemap, my widgets folder, and all I'm going to do is take this folder, I'm going to cut it, and I'm going to paste it in the folder. That's all I did. I downloaded the code, unzipped it, copy, paste. That's all I did. Now when I go back to WebAppBuilder, Developer Edition, I'm going to click the Add Widget button again. Notice right here I have this new elevation widget. You guys see that?
Yep.
Hit OK, and it tells me what does it do? Well, it allows me to draw this the surface elevation profile. Hit OK, and just to prove to you that there's no smoke and mirrors, I'm going to zoom in here, activate the widget, oops, right here, and I'll draw a line, and there's a profile. It's that easy. It's really cool. Now, granted, I know this widget works because I trust Robert Scheitler. He does an awesome job. He always builds amazing custom widgets. Okay, so this is how you as a non-developer could use Developer Edition as part of your solution if you want.
And I take it there's some kind of, I mean, somebody couldn't do the wipe my hard drive widget or something, right?
Well, that's a good point. The widgets are kind of user at your own peril. Yeah, anything by Robert Scheitler is good. But yeah, that's true. I didn't. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to try to go through these quickly. This slide here basically says when you first set up Developer Edition, you want to make sure you register it with Arcgis Online. We have a doc for that. Okay. So we have templates that are included with Developer Edition to kind of help you get started if you want to. You can also basically make a template. So let's say, for example, you went through WebAppBuilder, you put like the USGS logo, you made the banner green, and you want other people to make their web apps following your design. You can definitely do that by saving your app as a template and then adding it to Arcgis Online or Portal for ArcGIS. And this slide shows the workflow. Okay, so the next few slides I'm going to talk about where you can go to get more info, right? I mentioned GeoNet. We have two forums, if you will. One is General Web App Builder. One is for custom widgets. Again, very, very active. There's a really nice lady named Rebecca. She works for Department of Fish and Wildlife for the state of Alaska. And she maintains this blog page where every time there's a new sample widget or someone from the community made some helpful doc, and she references it on this one resource list. So I always highlight that because she's a great contributor. And then I have some links. Again, I will send this PowerPoint to Richard so he can share with you guys, for help documentation, Developer Edition documentation. We have that live training seminar, which is free. It's about a 50-minute video where you see me go through this, this in more detail with some demos. And if you want, you can also take a 2 to 4 hour web course. And that's all I got. You want to do some questions now, or up to you, Richard, on what you want to do?
Yeah, no, that would be great. Let me. That was while I'm unmuting everybody again. Let me just say that was a fantastic presentation. I guess it's must be easy to present on that because that stuff is so cool.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know why the image isn't loading. I really apologize. It's really
don't worry about it. Sandra, you had another question, right?
Yeah, I sure did. So the WebAppBuilder Developer Edition, is that dependent on ArcGIS Server? In general, I get really confused about what I can and can't do without GIS Server. My shop personally doesn't have an instance of GIS Server set up, even though I guess technically we could. We just really don't want to maintain that piece. But we certainly have development skills where we could work on extending some of the functionality in the web apps. So
sure, yeah. That's a good question. So WebAppBuilder is not dependent on ArcGIS Server.
Great.
However, it is designed to consume web services, right?
Sure.
So when you start something with WebAppBuilder, it all starts with a web map. I don't know if you've used the ArcGIS Viewer for Flex previously, but WebAppBuilder, it's designed to first consume a web map, and then you can add additional web services to it. However,
okay.
I do know that some users who are really clever have added a widget where you can just access a whole bunch of web services to begin with. It's called the Add Local Layer widget, even though it's not for local data. It's available on internet, so that's possible, yes.
Add Local Layer widget, okay. And I mean, well, if you have your data hosted on Arcgis Online and it's a service, can't you grab it from there?
Yes, and you can grab it from there, absolutely, yes.
Yeah, okay. Thanks.
No problem.
Are there other and maybe somebody else has a question, but are there other instances where, like, are there any really key things to point out that are dependent on ArcGIS Server?
I think it depends on what you want to do. It's a common myth. People think that ArcGIS Online is equal to ArcGIS Server, and that's not true. For example, if you want to publish a geoprocessing service, you need ArcGIS Server. We currently do not support hosted geoprocessing services in ArcGIS Online.
Okay.
Okay, so that's an example then of
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
You couldn't just write a Python script and put it in a web accessible folder, and the ArcGIS Online wouldn't consume that as it was like a ArcGIS Server service.
That is not supported today.
Okay. Cool.
Just as an FYI, currently ArcGIS Online supports hosted tile, so cached map services, and hosted feature services, and that's it.
Okay.
But ArcGIS Server allows you to publish a whole bunch of other stuff too, right? Network analysis services, geoprocessing services, locator for geocoding services. So, I mean, ArcGIS Server kind of gives you like 15 different types of web services. ArcGIS Online today only gives you 2. We plan on adding more capabilities to ArcGIS Online. It's just taking some more time.
Okay.
Actually, I'm a little bit confused then, because so when you say the things that you need ArcGIS Server for, and you mentioned the analysis tools, are you specifically referring to custom analysis tools, or because actually I was using ArcGIS Online recently without ArcGIS Server, and I was able to access some of the analysis tools online.
Yes, I was referring to custom analysis tools.
Okay, all right.
So, I'm sorry, I want to be clear on that. So,
okay.
What you meant was, yes, right now you can see on my display, I'm in ArcGIS Online, I'm in the map viewer, and we have these analysis tools. These are available to you, but these are provided by Esri, and when you run them, they consume credits. If you have no limitation, then life is good for you guys.
Right.
But if you want to have a custom analysis tool, you can only enable that with ArcGIS Server. You cannot put that in ArcGIS Online for others to use.
Okay.
Like the demo that I showed with find the broken water network and the customers who were affected, that would be a custom analysis tool.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
So widgets, per se, you can develop without ArcGIS Server, right? Because the widgets are just, I assume, JavaScript-based?
The widgets are JavaScript-based, and yes, you could, in theory, develop them without having ArcGIS Server. Yep.
Cool. Thanks.
No problem. Although ArcGIS Server is a great product, I worked on it for like 7 years. I don't know why you're hating on it. That was a joke.
No, it's not. It's just that it's actually the maintenance of the server itself, not the software. So if that makes you feel better.
No. I always feel like ArcGIS Server is the the unwanted stepbrother of ArcGIS Online. ArcGIS Online gets all the glory. That was another joke. So.
I'm laughing on mute.
Hey Derek, you want to pop? We have like 1 minute left. You want to pop your webcam for just a second?
Okay. Yep. Yep. Hopefully you guys can. Here we go. Can you guys see me?
Yeah, I guess we have to look on our. Oh, there you are. Okay, cool.
You're
If you have any additional questions, you're welcome to send an email. It's DLAW, or send it to Richard, and maybe Richard, you can send me the questions. Up to you.
Yeah. No. Well, the people can contact you directly. That's fine.
Okay.
All right. Well, that was a fantastic presentation, and everybody loves the live demos. It didn't go too badly. Who cares about that one? Everything that was really important worked, right? So that's the most important thing. So that was super cool. And well, thank you again. And next month, everybody, we're going to have story maps, so you can decide, how you want to, if you want to give present your mapping information to people, which one you might use. And all right, we'll see you next month. See you,
All right,
everybody.
thank you guys. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.